Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. Over the next 20 minutes, I'll be covering our flagship Mackay Potash project, our newly acquired Auld Potash project, and our strategy to building Agrimin into a world-class specialty potash business. Please note the important notices and disclaimers on slide 2. Why Agrimin? Well, firstly, we're going to become a premium producer of high-quality, water-soluble fertiliser. It's going to be sulphate of potash fertiliser that's essential for crops such as fruits and vegetables. Secondly, we're going to be helping to achieve global food security, particularly in the Asia-Pacific region. And thirdly, our vision is to become a globally significant SOP supplier and also to empower local communities and deliver the maximum benefits and opportunities to local communities. It's taken Agrimin about 7 years to assemble this leading portfolio of potash projects located in the world's most attractive mining jurisdiction. Our flagship Mackay Potash project is located in Central Australia. It's going to produce a bulk potash product that's going to be exported via Wyndham Port. Secondly, we recently announced the acquisition of the Auld project, which will be a smaller scale project, most likely exporting out of Port Hedland. Both projects are located on the doorstep of key SOP growth markets in South and Southeast Asia. And both projects we expect to produce premium SOP product quality at a first quartile cash cost. The Mackay Potash project will be developed and operated in alignment with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Our project is very well suited to meeting a number of these goals, including a high renewable energy penetration, an environmentally friendly production process, delivering a number of local Indigenous jobs, and producing a quality fertiliser that's going to minimise the environmental impact of agriculture. Now, moving on to the sulphate of potash industry and how Agrimin seeks to take advantage of the great market dynamics. Sulphate of potash is a specialty potash fertiliser, and that's because it's chloride free. So it's essential for high value chloride intolerant crops, which include many fruits and vegetables and tree nuts. It's differentiated to the bulk, low value form of potash being muriate of potash. Importantly, it trades at almost twice the price and currently has a global supply shortage. This is very different to the MOP market, which suffers from excess supply capacity. The future demand for SOP looks extremely encouraging. Rising middle class populations are demanding better diets, which include more fruits and vegetables. Food production practices are also rapidly changing. This is due to water scarcity, agricultural pollution, and technological advancements. Techniques such as drip irrigation and the use of water-soluble fertilisers are already driving SOP demand. SOP is leveraged to many of the global megatrends that are driving the need for more fertiliser around the world. You can see on this slide a number of the reasons why SOP is going to see strong demand. But in essence, it's all around producing more food from less land. And that means an increase in crop yields is essential in the future. The key growth markets for SOP lie on the doorstep of our project here in WA. SOP is going to play a very important role in South and Southeast Asia as these areas look to improve their methods of agriculture and produce more food for more people from less land. Indonesia, India, Malaysia and Brazil account for about a third of MOP demand. They are significant potash consumers, yet they only consume about 2% of the world's SOP. We would expect the application rates of SOP in South and Southeast Asia to gradually move towards the global averages that we see in countries such as America, China, and Europe. We believe a key reason that these regions do not consume SOP currently is because there is no domestic supply. The majority of SOP supply exists in Europe, the US and China, where it's consumed. So we believe there is a desperate need for a new and reliable seaborne supplier of SOP. And this is what Agrimin is taking advantage of. The industry cost base is very interesting. It's basically split into two components. We have primary brine or salt lake production, and we have secondary and Mannheim production. Mannheim production involves converting MOP to SOP at high temperatures and using acid, and also producing a lot of byproduct acid. It's high cost, it's environmentally unfriendly, and over the last 2 decades we've seen a shift towards lower cost and environmentally friendly brine production. We believe Agrimin will be positioned at the lowest end of the cost curve once we bring the Mackay Potash project online, and this should provide very strong margins through all business cycles. Current prices for SOP range from about $400 per tonne to $550 per tonne across different regions of the world. Agrimin's large-scale bulk commodity project will be positioned very well to compete across all of the markets globally. We believe that SOP prices are going to be very well supported at current levels and offers exceptional upside due to three key reasons. Firstly, the increasing global consumption of high-value crops such as fruits and vegetables, which is driven by an increasing population and also, more significantly, an increasing middle class. Secondly, the increasing sophistication of agriculture, particularly in developing countries in the Asia Pacific. As they move to more intensive farming, they're going to require better quality fertiliser such as SOP. And thirdly, the increasing production costs for the Mannheim process. So as acid restrictions and the emissions restrictions increase, we're going to see the cost of Mannheim production increase, providing a higher and higher marginal cost of production and pushing the SOP price up. I'll now move on to our Mackay Potash project. It's 100% owned, and we acquired the project in 2014. We've invested over $30 million now on feasibility work on the project. It's Australia's largest SOP development, and it's world-class in all aspects. It's going to produce a premium SOP product. It's going to have a first quartile cash cost. It's going to be a globally significant producer located next to key SOP growth markets, and it's ESG friendly. The project was recently awarded major project status by the Australian Federal Government, and this recognises the project's national significance, particularly in terms of its contribution towards exports, employment and economic infrastructure through the northwest of Australia. In 2017, we signed a historic native title agreement with the Kirakara people to develop and operate the Mackay Potash project on their land. We've defined a processed water bore field just to the south of Lake Mackay, which will produce very good quality processed water for the project. And also the project is in an excellent location for achieving high renewable energy penetration, and we'll be looking to maximise the use of solar and wind power for the project. The project's world-class nature is driven by the quality of the resource. It's large, it's shallow and it's high grade. Lake Mackay hosts over 1 billion tonnes of in situ SOP, including more than 100 million tonnes of that within the drainable porosity portion. We also expect the natural recharge of the salt lake to see more than the drainable porosity extracted over time from certain zones of the resource. The groundwater within Lake Mackay starts at just 40 centimetres beneath the surface, and the ore reserve is going to be based solely on the top 3 metres of the lake, which leaves immense upside in the future. Lake Mackay is a huge salt lake. It's WA's largest salt lake, and it's ideally suited to putting in shallow, low-cost trenches to extract the brine, and placing large solar evaporation ponds on the lake surface, all having minimal environmental impact given that we are only going to impact a small portion of the overall lake. The project is globally significant. It's the largest SOP development in the Western world. Only the projects located in the geopolitically high-risk areas of Eritrea and Ethiopia are larger than our project. We're also situated on the doorstep of the high-growth markets of South and Southeast Asia. So we expect our project to be very well positioned in the future to be the largest producer coming online. We delivered a PFS in 2018, and this demonstrated that the Mackay Potash project has low capex, high margins and a long life. These numbers will be updated very shortly with the release of the DFS, which is due for completion by the end of June. And we look forward to updating shareholders with the new numbers as they come on hand in the future. The Mackay Potash project will be an environmentally friendly project. It will also have a conventional and straightforward production process to produce high quality SOP. The technical attributes of Lake Mackay will allow for the development of a low risk and traditional salt lake operation. We plan on digging a shallow network of trenches across Lake Mackay to a depth of just 4 metres. Within the trenches, the hypersaline brine that contains the potash will be transferred by gravity to large-scale solar evaporation ponds which will be located on the surface of Lake Mackay. These ponds will use the sun's energy to evaporate away the water to leave behind a really rich potash-bearing salt. This salt will be then transferred to our processing plant, which will produce it into a very high-value SOP fertiliser that's ready for export markets. Importantly, the Mackay Potash project is going to produce a premium SOP product. It's going to be high grade and water soluble. All of our test work to date has produced SOP that consistently exceeds industry benchmarks. This has been verified by many of the world's leading fertiliser companies who have now received and tested our products. Upon the completion of the DFS, we look forward to engaging more heavily with off-takers and strategic partners and finalising that process. Like all bulk commodity projects, the logistics chain is fundamental to the project's success. For the Mackay Potash project, transport costs will make up a large proportion of the overall operating cost of the project. Therefore, designing a fit-for-purpose, low-cost logistics chain has been an absolute focus of Agrimin's for the last 2 years. Recently, we announced a joint venture with Craig Mitchell. He's a trucking specialist and the former founder and CEO of Mitchell Corp, which is one of WA's largest bulk haulage operators. The joint venture is a little different to the traditional contracting method, but we believe it's going to deliver major cost savings over the project's 20-year life and significantly reduce risk over the project's life. It'll also allow us to retain control over our logistics chain. A further benefit of the alliance with Craig is our intention to maximise local employment throughout the supply chain from Lake Mackay up to Wyndham. The Wyndham port facility will be a crucial component of Agrimin's fully integrated logistics chain. Road trains will deliver potash from the Mackay processing plant up to a storage shed here at the waterfront at Wyndham. We'll then have a jetty and a barge loading facility that will load the potash onto ships. Late last year, we signed an MOU with TSA, which is one of Australia's most experienced barge loading operators. And similar to what we've done with our trucking, we're bringing in proven operators who have experience. TSA successfully loaded many shipments of iron ore up here at Wyndham using a very similar barge loading facility. The definitive feasibility study for the Mackay Potash project is now nearing completion. We've had a commitment to the long-term and methodical de-risking of the project. This has involved the industry's most extensive fieldwork programs to define both the hydrogeology and the evaporation process. we've completed more than 2 years of pumping tests spaced out across all of Lake Mackay. And we've also nearing completion of an 18-month-long pilot evaporation trial on the lake. We're continuing to advance the Mackay Potash project towards construction and creating one of the world's leading seaborne suppliers of SOP fertiliser. Subsequent to the completion of the DFS, which we expect to be completing in late June, we'll be moving forward with completing the environmental approvals process. We'll be commencing key front-end engineering and design work components that are critical to the timeline of the project. And most importantly, we'll be more heavily engaging with strategic partners and pursuing offtake agreements. And we look very excited to closing out that process subsequent to the DFS. In 2017, we signed a historic native title agreement with the Kiwirrkurra people. Kiwirrkurra is a very important part of the country and is home to many important Australian people. The project is going to be developed aligned with the principles that will allow the heritage and cultural values of Lake Mackay and the surrounding area to be maintained. The project's also going to be developed and operated in a way that delivers the key opportunities and benefits that the Kiwirrkurra people want to see realised from the project. We've now generated over 5 years of baseline environmental and heritage data across the region and believe that we've implemented an industry-leading social and environmental agenda. The Mackay Potash project will deliver many strategic and social benefits. First and foremost, the project is forecast to generate over $300 million in export revenue, which will deliver many taxes and royalties to both the state and also to native title parties. The project's going to involve 150 full-time employees, but more importantly, it's going to create about 600 jobs through the regional supply chain extending from the Mackay Potash project down at Lake Mackay all the way up to Wyndham Port, where we'll have our shiploading facilities. We also have a commitment to delivering local business and employment opportunities for Indigenous people. This was all recognised more recently by the Australian Federal Government awarding the project major project status, which does recognise the national significance of the project. I'll now take you through our recently acquired Lake Auld Potash project, which is also 100% owned by Agrimin. The Lake Auld Potash project is located 620 kilometres southeast of Port Hedland, making it the closest potash project to an operating port in Australia. It's also the highest grade SOP exploration project in Australia. The project currently has a land access agreement with the Martu people, and we've just recently kicked off a concept study looking at a boutique-sized operation to produce water-soluble SOP. We also intend to commence our first exploration campaign up here as soon as possible once we see the COVID-19 restrictions lifted. Lake Auld's been subject to a number of historical sampling programs. In 2013, there were 3 samples taken which returned spectacular SOP grades of up to 36 kilograms per cubic metre of brine. The project is centred on the northern half of Lake Auld, which covers a lakebed area of about 108 square kilometres. In terms of the Canning Paleo Valley, we're very excited to have finally consolidated tenure across this very, very prospective area. Our tenure now includes a strike length of 250 kilometres extending from Lake Auld up to the Percival Lakes. This is the most prospective portion of the Canning Paleo Valley. Across the region, over 130 samples have now been collected and they've returned consistently high SOP grades. We believe the low-cost entry into this project is very exciting and we expect to unlock a lot of value through our first exploration campaign out here. So, the investment case for Agrimin. We think it's very clear. Lake Mackay hosts a large, shallow, high-grade mineral resource of over 1 billion tonnes of SOP in situ and is located in the world's premier mining jurisdiction of Western Australia. The Mackay Potash project is going to produce premium SOP product quality at a globally significant scale with a first quartile cash cost. We believe the Mackay Potash project is a standout global opportunity. The project's located next to key SOP growth markets in South and Southeast Asia, and it's an ESG friendly project. We're going to target high renewable energy, and we're also looking to help achieve global food security, particularly in the Asia Pacific region. The imminent completion of the DFS is going to be a major catalyst for embarking on a very exciting phase of the project as we look to finalise offtake and funding activities. And lastly, we believe the low-cost entry of the Lake Auld Potash project offers significant exploration upside, and we look forward to undertaking exploration out there over the coming couple of years, in parallel with delivering the Mackay Potash project through construction and into production. We really appreciate you getting to the end of the presentation, and I hope that I've highlighted the excellent potential for Agrimin to build a world-class specialty fertiliser business. Please refer to our website for further information, and I look forward to keeping you updated as we progress our projects. Thank you.